What I do with people when I'm talking to them about branding is I tell them to create a little Venn diagram for themselves. And I want them to put themselves in the center and figure out who they are. Write some phrases about who you are. And then talk about who would be your best fit customer. What are your interests? Where do they intersect with other people's interests? What have you? You can find your best fit customer by figuring out exactly who you are in relationship to real estate. And I think that will help a lot of your viewers to figure out where they want to be in real estate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. I'm Daniel Berger. Thank you for joining us this week. I'm excited to have all the way from the San Francisco Bay Area, Andrea Gordon. She brings with us 27 years of real estate experience. Before that, I think there was a little bit of a time she lived in New York. San Francisco pulled her back. She's a theater lover, an animal snuggler, and she's a top producer in the Bay Area. So I had to, with the animal snuggle person, I had to have her on. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Daniel.
So I've been on your show before.
Yes.
So it's fair play. Is that
Yeah.
Shakespeare? Is that Shakespeare?
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know either. You're the theater major. But what's interesting is, so to let people know, besides the 20, you're at Compass now and a top producer, 27 years. But I love that you have a master's in theater arts and for artistic director, and you've had an award-winning nonprofit theater company that you've worked with. Are you still very involved in theater?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I actually have a theater company called Rainbow Zebra Productions, which is a resident theater of the Magic Theater in San Francisco, which is where Sam Shepard and John O'Keefe and all kinds of Julia Baer, incredible playwrights' works were first produced. And they named me actually director of reading and development for theater there.
Since all the world's a stage, right? So because of that, I just feel like that's a perfect personality and skill set to get into our crazy world of real estate,
Yeah,
right?
it really is. They're completely analogous skill sets. In real estate, you're constantly meeting new people. You're having to push boundaries as far as your own feeling. You're getting rejected from listing appointments or you get accepted. So when theater people audition for things, they get used to rejections. They understand what it's like to get up in front of people and do stuff. And I think that is a very common thread in real estate as well, along with improvisation, because you have to be able to think on your feet and you have to be able to analyze the situation and come up with quick ways of addressing whatever it is that's going on in the moment. So I think that there's a lot of commonality between theater and real estate actually, except for real estate pays really well and theater doesn't.
I think that, you know what? It's all relative because
Yeah.
obviously don't tell Brad Pitt that theater or
I
or
think
or
I could tell somebody who is quote unquote become a movie star or made it, they do make money, but that's less than 2% of theater professionals in the country. Most theater professionals feel like they've made it if they're making $500 a week
yeah.
in theater.
And that's why you're left coast, I'm right coast.
Right.
Being in New York, my family and I have always loved to go to theater. We're spoiled that Broadway happens to be here. And so we've always made it to do our best to support Broadway. We have, now that I'm older, friends and family that have been in things or invest in things. And how do you always try to help? Because, it's important to have it. Clearly, it makes why many people want to come to New York City,
Yeah.
is that's our fabric.
It's the theater capital of the United States. Absolutely. California, San Francisco, where I am, is the theater capital of our state. LA is more oriented towards film and television, but New York is it. If most people feel like they need to go to New York to make it. And I feel really blessed that I grew up in part in New York City because I think there's an energy to the place that is profound. And that if you can take that energy with you wherever you go next, you will probably do very well. California is much more laid back in many ways than New York. And I am probably one of the least laid back people you'll ever meet. And consequently, it helps me in my business because I just work. I put my head down and I work and I have a lot of discipline. And I think that's one of the things that New York brings to people, honestly.
So, from a real estate perspective, are you more into the choreography and the staging and the scripts, or are you much more a person of you're gonna see what happens and then the words are gonna come out of your mouth that make sense based off of that given situation? Because I know that I've done some reading about you, and that obviously you're very authentic. You want to stay true to yourself, and also you know that your buyers and sellers are not identical, and so you need to craft your presentation or your who how you work with people based off of who that person is, not who staged or a buyer. How do you work on things that come out of your mouth?
First off, I've been a realtor for 27 years at this point. So there's certain things that come pretty naturally to me at this point in working with people. But also, as long as you are authentic and you are representing yourself as yourself out in the world, you don't have to change for other people. Your right fit customers will come to you. You don't have to become somebody other than who you are in order to do your business. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make in real estate when they start out is being a chameleon and not being true to themselves. Because at the end of the day, if you're true to yourself and you're authentic in the work that you put out and you're disciplined and good and follow all the rules, of course, it will reap you a lot of benefits. I have a database of 8,000 people, and I can tell you, I honestly know every single person in that database, and they know me.
It
Yeah,
doesn't pay for you to have names with no faces or names of nothing, because ultimately you've been doing this for almost 30 years now, and you have the people that you've helped buy and sell and buy and sell and buy and sell many times. And so as a season agent, that's cool because those are the people that you get to work with and
yeah,
or their friends, family, and associates. Uh,
yeah.
did you start doing script when you started off 27 years ago? Were you someone that worked off of scripts, or was it always that you were just able to be from an acting standpoint, not that you're acting, but that you're
Yeah.
able to not have a script potentially and just be authentic?
I know that a lot of people derive a lot of benefit of working with scripts because it gets them over themselves. If you have to focus on a script, then you're not focused on your own insecurities and your own concerns, what have you. As it happens, I have never used scripts in the entirety of my real estate career. I actually was interviewed by Tom Ferry, if you know who he is, at one
Yeah.
point. And I said exactly the wrong thing on the interview because, of course, he was trying to advocate strongly for people using scripts. And I was like, oh no, I don't do that.
I would argue that you didn't say the wrong thing. You said the right thing because that wasn't a proper fit for you.
Right.
Because so I'm anti scripts too.
Mhm.
So the reason why I'm anti scripts is a script is you could potentially have written it yourself, but generally it's somebody else writes it and they say these are the words you need to say and you need to say it in this order and blah blah blah.
Right.
And it's like I'm certainly drawn to how you run your business because of authenticity. So that is really,
Yeah.
I don't wear a suit. I'm a shorts guy. Like I'm in New York and I'm a shorts guy in November, December. Maybe not the first time I meet somebody, but I'm certainly not dressed up because that's not who I am. And
Well,
ultimately,
yeah.
and ultimately, I feel that people they want to work with me for the words that come out of my mouth and how my network and how I treat them and value them and put in the effort. That's probably more important to somebody that's looking to buy, sell, and rent, but maybe
No,
not,
I love
right?
that about you. When you were on my podcast, I loved what an individual you are and how you have made that work for you. And that's the thing. It's like what I do with people when I'm talking to them about branding is I tell them to create a little Venn diagram for themselves. And I want them to put themselves in the center and figure out who they are. Write some phrases about who you are. And then talk about who would be your best fit customer. What are your interests? Where do they intersect with other people's interests? What have you? You can find your best fit customer by figuring out exactly who you are in relationship to real estate. And I think that will help a lot of your viewers to figure out where they want to be in real estate. And so I admire that about you too. You're as authentic as I am.
For me, being a third career, right? Starting at 46 or 47. I wasn't going to be the number one, or at least I wasn't going to start as the number one in my town, in a city or whatever. And I didn't need that. I didn't need to do that. I just wanted to be me. I wanted to be the best version of who I could be. And so I wasn't chasing after somebody else that had this and had that, because
Right.
ultimately, so because you can, especially in this business, right? We're independent contractors and we're doing the best that we can to make a name for ourselves and close business, right? I would do anything, right? I did small cooperatives, I would do anything, because again, a deal's a deal. You get the deal done. It doesn't matter the size. You've dealt with a person. That person's going to have friends, family. They're going to want to do
Yeah.
other things down the road. And there's always this thing that you don't need to be number one in a market, number two, and just be the best that you can be. And then
Right.
for me, for the 9 years that I've been doing this and 60 deals a year, it's somehow turned into a nice career that I'm 56 now. So I don't want to have to do anything else. I want to do this. I want to do this until I still have such passion about it. And so it's a testament to you, right? 27 years later, and you're still looking to be the best Andrea that you can, that you're exceeding your clients' expectations and you're being true to yourself. I love seeing that after so many years.
Thank you. Yeah, both of my parents died very young. My mom died when she was 49 and my dad died when he was 58. And I think that really made me realize how short and how meaningful life is. And so for me, I want to be excellent at whatever I do. And I want to experience life as fully as I possibly can. And if this is the venue that I am experiencing my life in, I want it to be as meaningful and powerful and important and insightful and educational as anything can possibly be. So for me, I still wake up every day like it's Christmas morning and feel like what's in store, what's going to happen, what will I learn today? How will I be today? How will I find something beautiful today? That's really seriously how I approach life. It's very sweet to me. I'm now 68 years old. I'm going to be 69 in 1 month. And I still feel like I'm getting so much out of life and so much out of the beauty of just being alive that I want to share that with everybody that I come in contact with.
70 is the new 50.
I know.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
let me between, and again, it's awesome that if you're enjoying what you're doing, you don't, why would you retire? Why would you stop doing something that you enjoy? And so real estate's one of these careers that it can be your phone. You can be working every day. You do work every day and
Yeah, I
all
do work
hours,
every day.
right? All hours and all times. But if you enjoy it, like I don't have a problem picking up my phone and texting a client anytime, because they're people and I'm trying to be a connector, right? And you have to do it at some point. Why not do it now? So clearly sometimes you just can't, but for the most part, try to move things along. And I agree with you. Every day you wake up, I like to have my calendar and my schedule. So that's how I rule anything. If my family's, oh, we're going to go here, send me a meeting request. I want to block the time. That's what I want to do.
Put your
Um,
focus there. Yeah.
no, that's a different story. Focus necessarily, because the funny thing is, so when I'm out golfing and I'm texting or maybe sneaking a phone call to try to answer someone's question about real estate, the people that I golf with are like, Danny, why are you here with us now golfing? And then when I get home, my wife is, oh, you golfed all day. I'm like, not exactly. But I will say everyone has to do what makes sense for them. And for me, my making sense is that I do everything all at the same time because I want my clients to get their questions, their concerns taken care of. And clearly, it's always fair to say, I'm doing this now, or I can't now, I will do it at later, or give
Right.
them the time, because for the most part people are really understanding, and so if they just want to know that their message to you was received and that an action will be taken. So it certainly doesn't have to be now, but it is important to tell people. So I sometimes, when I send messages and then they don't say received or that they're looking into it or whatever, that probably is a little bit of my pet peeve, right? Because I want to know that, okay, Now I'll wait for you to do whatever the thing is, and then we'll get back and we'll discuss. That's how to get it done. There's so many moving balls, right? Or so
Yeah.
many things in the
Well,
air.
and you have to be highly organized to be in real estate because honestly, like right now, I have around 7 active listings. I'm bringing 17 listings on in the next 2 months. It's a lot of moving pieces. And so if you are not heavily scheduled and if everything doesn't go into a calendar and if everything doesn't dovetail properly, you can really be overwhelmed. So you're better off figuring out how to time block all those things. I schedule a meeting once a week with all of my sellers. And I'm 92% sellers. My typical buyer is somebody whose house I've sold. I tend to
Right.
give off all the buyers to other agents and get referral fees for them. But when I'm working with sellers once a week, we have at least a 15-minute meeting to communicate. Obviously, also communicating all along the week as far as email and what have you. But communication is absolutely the most important part of everything to do with real estate. It truly is. Even if you have to say, I don't know, or if you have bad news, communication is key. It's super important.
I can't even imagine that you have 17 listings that are scheduled to happen. Um, like that's an absurd number for me. I did about 65 deals last year. I think I'm about half and half. So I did do
Mhm.
30 listings, but I don't have 17 in the hopper. I do. I just don't know where they are yet. So that like I'm not a big planner for planning's sake because you don't really generally people are going to call like I have a house that I'm working on that's probably not going to come because people have to move. They're going to relocate to Ohio, and it's a house that I helped them buy. I just took pictures. Where it's New York, it's the fall. I wanted to have a nice fall foliage picture as opposed to pictures being taken in the middle of December. So we took all the pictures so that I have it ready. And that's probably going to be like January. I have a
Yeah.
couple like that, but not 17. That's incredible.
I'm like they call me in my area, they call me the listing machine. So I've had 6 listing appointments this week. And it's,
That is
yeah.
I haven't even had 6 meals this week. So that's amazing that you've had that's and so here's my question. Of the 6 listing appointments, you're 6 for 6, you got all of them?
No, I haven't had all of them. They're
Okay.
this week.
Okay.
No, as a matter of fact, I didn't get one of them. I know that. I think very often what people will do also is they'll call me in for a listing appointment. And in actuality, they're working with their sister's realtor, but they just want to check whatever information they've provided to them. I had a really distinct feeling on the listing appointment that I had on Monday that they just wanted me to corroborate what the person had said about value because they had already interviewed that person. She was the realtor who had represented their next door neighbors who were their very dear friends. I didn't find this out until after the fact,
Right.
but I think in actuality that they got more conflicted around it than from because I got this. Has this ever happened to you? I get an email from the seller who is telling me that he is not hiring me. But he went on for literally a page about how incredible I was. It was really, I knew that he wasn't hiring me because I read the bottom of the email first. But it was like, you were so incredibly prepared. We admired
It
you.
was like
Like
they
it
want
was
to make themselves feel better, and they also want you to know that it really wasn't anything you said. It was just
right.
because there's another situation that they feel they
I
have to
was
do.
like, my God, they're like, this, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, and they're not hiring me. What's the matter here? So I wrote back
Right,
after I got this incredible email. I wrote back and I said, in the interest of my doing better in listing appointments, can you let me know what it was that tipped you in the direction of this other person? And he said it really wasn't anything to do with you. It was that we had an incredible recommendation from our next door neighbors who are our best friends that they had worked with this person and that she was really excellent.
right.
And
And again, that's you know what you get so many chances that you're stepping up to the plate, right? And in baseball, right, Hall of Fame players only bat 300,
right,
right, three out of
right,
10.
right. Yeah, if I go on 3 listing appointments, I usually get 2 of them.
Yeah,
And that's not bad odds.
no, and that's also why you have to go on them, right? Because the other thing is, I think there's a very high percent of people that don't even interview more than one person. And showing up is important. And so if you show up and the other person might not show up, or those don't those drive you nuts. Like when you go on those appointments, you're like, oh, we bonded, whatever, and you didn't get it. But then sometimes I see, okay, they pick someone that they're very high
Yeah.
level. So you're like, okay, that's fine. And then sometimes they go with people and you're like, what? And then you see like the listing pictures are horrible, and then you're just like, you know what?
And sometimes it's as simple as I always ask for 3%, right? It's as simple as somebody offered to do it for 2%. You don't even know what caused it. Or in the case of the one I just didn't get, it's a divorce. And it's quite possible that I could tell the wife loved me. So
Right.
it's possible that the husband didn't love me as much because the wife loved me. And
Yeah.
I've seen it happen where
I'm gonna go whoever my wife wants. I want to go the other way. I've also gotten things because of divorces where people don't want to use who might be this person that someone doesn't like that person's personality. And then I'm the other person. Sometimes you're the other person and you take advantage of it.
yeah, and there's
So,
enough business for everybody. I'm not crying because I didn't get that listing. Sometimes you dodge a bullet too. Sometimes the people are crazy. Sometimes the people are I had a listing appointment with a seller who I want you to hear this out loud, actually. She got two offers. One of them was $15,000 less than the other, but it was all cash with no contingencies and a 7-day close. The other offer had all contingencies, was $15,000 more, 30-day close, and she took it over the $15,000. And I had advised her very strongly not to take the financed offer, which fell apart over inspections. The person came back asking for $100,000 off of the deal. And so now she's got nothing because the other people have gone off and bought another property. When I was in the listing appointment for that particular sale, I knew that she was not my person. My gut was telling me, but I got beguiled because it was such a high price point that I went ahead and took the listing anyway. She did in the listing appointment, and I'm obviously no names, no addresses.
sure, of course.
In the listing appointment, she denigrated two other realtors. She said mean things about people that I know, who I know are not bad people, who do good. My little gut and my little brain should have been listening because she's been hell on wheels, and I'm still stuck dealing with her.
But what do you know, Andrew? You've only been doing this for 27 years and a top performer. So what, of course why should she listen to you and taking the offer that you recommend? Come on. And it's funny also because when you're taking the deal that's less money, you're commission based, right? You make more money on the one, but it's not about that. It never really is. It's always about what's going to be the best chance for us to get to the closing table.
Exactly.
So yeah, I knew that was going to be the end of the story. That of course something fell through. Yeah, when you waive everything, and so in New York, a 7-day closes, and I can't even get an appraisal done in 7 days.
I
That's not
know the
right.
way you work, the way you guys work is so crazy to me. It's so weird to me. And all the co-ops and having to get
Oh my God. Well, I actually closed the one yesterday and it was the highest price, I think, in the building. But we were fighting with the management company on the applicant's math, the debt to income ratios. And the management kept saying it was a number. And we're like, your math's not mathing. And it's really complicated to they're allowed to just say no, and there's really nothing you can do. Thankfully, my seller had been on the board at one point, so we had some ins. So we actually had to do like an end around with the people on the co-op board to basically put pressure back on the management to relook at the math. And it was one of those sometimes good things happen because it took so long that the buyer would have been able to walk away multiple times and the buyer wanted it and kept providing more information. And I had we actually went with this buyer's agent because I said she's really good. She understands co-op and she's a hard worker. Thankfully, we went with it. I think we had an offer that might have been a little bit more. Thankfully, we went with the one that was a better agent because especially in the world of co-ops, it is so complicated.
So tough. Oh my Lord. I don't even know how you guys do it. It's like the process takes about 3 months, doesn't it?
This one was more. This one was 7 months from contract to closing, 7 months.
See,
Contract.
In our area, it's more like 21 to 28 days.
Yeah, and which was everybody on everyone had to work. So what I love real estate transactions when it's a win-win. And it can be a win-win. So if you have the right players on both sides and you have a seller that wants to sell and a buyer that wants to buy and you agree on a price, and now how do you get there all together? It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm going to screw this person and take away this microwave or or the washing machine and dryer, and so that's where it's our job to really see the end game and to try to make it work. But for the most part, win-win is possible. That's if the agents are both hardworking people, the lender's a good lender, the lawyer's a good lawyer.
I don't
Sometimes you
think
don't
that
always
any
get that.
I don't think anybody outside of real estate understands how much we all have to work with one another to get a deal done. It takes a lot. And knowing the other person on the other side and working together and knowing the lenders and knowing what the lenders need and making sure they get what they need, knowing what the title company needs. Like I have a listing that's 2 houses on 1 lot, which at one point in time were all together, but in the 1940s got separated as condos, but they're 2 completely separate houses. The driveway is deeded to the rear house along with the carport in the back of the building. The land is owned TIC between the 2 condos, but on the tax record, it's showing as both TIC and condo. Now, as a realtor, I had to know what lender I could get who could actually figure that out to be at the point where they could understand it enough to get money for the buyer.
Yeah.
Because you had to do a certain form of fractional lending along with a condo loan. And it's tough. It's really tough. And I don't think people understand the vagaries of these kinds of things and how complicated they can actually get.
Eh,
And
many deals fall apart. I think our job is how do we get to a closing table, and
exactly.
and we're in a lawyer state, so I get to leverage working and I love that because it means that I get to be the real estate professional. I don't have to practice law. I don't have to do things that are lawyerly.
I
I
know.
I
You guys
do.
luck out. You guys luck out. We have to do all the contracts and everything in California. So,
Right. So I'm also licensed in Connecticut. Connecticut actually is a mixture. So Connecticut can be that way, but we don't have to do that way. It depends. It's funny because one part of Connecticut does it more like New York. One part of Connecticut does it the way, that more like you do. And even in New York, there are some parts to New York that's done a little bit differently.
there are a fair number of real estate brokers in New York who also have attorney's licenses.
Every attorney is allowed to be a realtor. You just actually have to pay the $60 or whatever for the license. Generally, no. Generally, they wouldn't do their own, and that would be generally, you could, but generally they don't do that.
Interesting.
Generally, I haven't seen that someone's like the real estate, even if they are an attorney, they would still have them work with a real estate attorney for that. But I guess I don't think that there's a provision against that. But that's a good question, but not that I've seen. I actually work with a lawyer who does a lot of my clients' work. She's a broker herself. Generally, she won't list. So generally she'll work with me to list those
Mhm.
clients' properties where she's representing them. And partly it's because she doesn't really have a brand. It's just her brokerage. Ultimately, I think she could still sell things because in the end of the day, the sign that's on the lawn's not, it's the person, it's not the brand of the sign. But
Right.
she doesn't really do that. And maybe she doesn't really want to market that because then maybe buyers or sellers might not want to use her
Hmm.
from the real estate perspective that they feel or other brokers, right? Oh, she's a competitor to us.
Yeah, no, it's true. I hate it when managers of real estate companies are also still selling
So
because
you
it's,
hate me. So you hate me then. So I'm that person. So
no, I don't. But the thing is, do you own your brokerage and do you have a bunch of agents working under you?
yes and yes, but I probably do it in a way that's a little different.
Right.
So
I remember that about you.
so I created my brokerage so I didn't have to listen to this is how we do it. This is how we have this is what we and to do. So technically it would be, I'm doing it, and I obviously I'm with Remax, so it's a national brand, but I probably did it for me, and I do most of the selling. But so when people come in, I actually am not really competing with them in the sense because I spend a lot of money on leads and I don't take any of them. The only
Right.
leads that I really get are the ones from my past clients that are asking me, or someone that does a social media search. But like from a standpoint of buying leads and lead generation, they all get funneled out to everyone on my team. So it's not, I don't really do that. And I do
Mhm.
work with people on stuff. But then I have people that don't mind that, right?
Well, and again, every situation is different, but like I've been at brokerages where the phone would ring, the broker would get the call and take the business.
Right.
And that's
Well,
not good.
so we don't have a phone that rings. I wouldn't pick it up. I actually have someone that actually, I have no employees, but I do have one of my agents is like the lead generation manager. And so
Hmm.
all the leads either go through Zillow where it's round robin to everyone and then they go. I don't take any of those. And when the phone rings, right? So it's only if my personal phone rings, not if the office phone rings. Those are all, everybody gets those.
That's
So that's
good.
why it is a little different. And I view as a broker that my job is to try to invest in making my agents have a business plan and do well and make right. So I'll do better if they do better. That is my goal, not trying to take anything. I also have some of the agents that might be contractors and other things. So sometimes I get their listings, right? They're like, I have three partners. I don't want people calling me because then they're the built, right? They're the flipper and then
Right.
they're also the agent. So why I'm actually interesting is that and I have two of them right now. One's in contract and one we're working on. I don't take any different split when I've done all the work. So that person, that agent is so happy, right? Because
Right.
it's no different money for them. And I don't
Right.
mind it because because then I'm the only person on the listing. So it's my listing and I don't mind because that's also helping grow their business. So and that's very unusual. I don't think most people
No,
would.
it's not like that at all. You're doing a good thing there. That's
Right.
wonderful.
So I certainly want to help people. I want them to grow their business. That's the reason why I'm the broker, to be able to do things better, different, and special that
Mhm.
works for me being authentic as opposed to me being in a corporation. Like we don't have team meetings, that we have none. Um, and I do have an office, but it's really just to house the signs. People can go in there, but we generally don't. We generally are more virtual. But yeah, so it's, you know what? And I love that's what real estate is, that you can create your own business and your own strategies and you work with people that how you want to work with them, right? So
Right.
it's different than a 9 to 5 job that someone dictates what you have to do. You have 17 listings in the pipeline, and that's because you can run the business the way that you want to do, as opposed to someone saying, "Oh, that's too many. You need to share them or whatever." It's Andrea Gordon's
No one ever asks me to
CEO of
share my
Andrea Gordon.
listings.
Exactly. It's also, you know why? Because the people that are choosing you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're obviously in San Francisco in the Bay Area. There's 1,000 people that they could use. But why is your phone keep ringing? So 17 listings in the pipeline is insane and insanely good. It's because so it's kind of with you, and we talked about it. Do you feel that out of those 17, there's some that you probably shouldn't take because they're not
Probably.
good fits? But
Yeah.
how do you say no to that?
Yeah, you know what it is that I think when I get into a little bit of a scarcity mindset, I will take things that I shouldn't take. And that could be that could be a listing in a neighborhood that I'm not used to working in. That could be something like the gut feeling I had about the woman who's so imperious and entitled. It could be anything, but I tend to take things when they come up and I would try to do as good a job on every single one of them. I feel because it's my name out there, it's my work out there, it's my leadership out there, that I must be as excellent as I possibly can be. I'm a workaholic too. There's no magic secret sauce to how you approach your work. It's just who you are in your work. I actually really love working. So people are always like, why don't you take a vacation? The reason I don't take a vacation is because I don't like going on vacation, honestly.
Right.
So I'm not the kind of person who lives to go take a trip to Italy or something. I'll direct a play, but I won't go travel. So for me, staying busy is super important, understanding what your pipeline is. I try to get at least 30 listings for each half of the year.
Wow.
That's my goal. And since and it's a lofty goal, but I try to do that. I'm trying for 150 million next year as my overall super goal. My more realistic goal is 100 million, and I think I can do that. So my coach always wants me to push as far as I possibly can, but I think that it's realistic to think that I'll do 100. And
I think if you have 17 right now, and then you're going to always have 30 or 60 in your pipeline, I feel like I'm a midget compared to you.
you are
I did
not.
45, I did 45 million in sales, and
About it. Think about it. You take 3 months for every one of your transactions on average, right? And I take 21 to 28 days. Who's going
right.
to do more deals in the course of a year? Me.
Yeah.
What's your average price point?
I don't even do the math. I think in the sevens, probably
Okay.
750 is probably the average because I have a lot. We do have apartments in there as well and
Yeah.
co-ops
Yeah.
like that. But I
Yeah.
guess, you know what? Actually, yeah, I guess that including rentals, I said I did about 65 deals with at about 45 million for just
Yeah.
me, right? Not the
Right.
company.
And see,
Uh,
for me, 65 deals would be 80 million because of the
yeah.
price points in the neighborhood that I serve. Yeah, I think that's the difference. I'm friends with this guy named Christoph Shu, who's a brilliant, wonderful realtor in Beverly Hills, California. And he's the kind of guy who will sell the Torrey Spelling Mansion for 165 million. And,
You only have to do a couple of those a year and you're
exactly.
okay.
One day I was at this event with him and he was going on and on about this incredible sale he'd done for 40 million. And so I said, "Oh yes, and I just sold a $289,000 condo in Oakland." And he looked at me and went, "Well, why don't you move?" I thought, good point, Christoph, because I'm
Uh,
established where I am and I like where I am and I'm happy doing
right. You love where you don't even want to travel. You love where you are, right?
it.
So
Yeah,
it's like, um,
exactly.
it's ultimately the biggest thing is when someone asks me to sell a house. So this year I've done some bigger things and I've just recently, and sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. Ultimately, I want to work with people and for the 9 years that I've been doing this every year, I get more. That might not be the case next year, or the year after. But what's the good news is it doesn't have like my view is a little different. I don't need it is what it is. If I get 45 million or 30 million right next year, whatever, as long as you don't have your expenses that are escalating and you can't, right? As long as they're variable, then it doesn't matter if I go up or down so much because
Right,
it's not like I have a huge cost of something
right.
that's going to make me so I have no debt. So no debt, a full great retirement, self-funded retirement because I'm smart enough to know that I should put the money every year that I make. I should put the maximum amount into a retirement account that the government allows me to do. And I guess as I'm getting older, I'm learning more things, how to divest and how to do that and get involved in other aspects. So I just recently client of mine, I saw how smart he was. He's in the more of it. He owns a lot of properties, and he almost got his own license. But we said, why do you need your license? I'll work with you, and we'll figure it out as we go. And he's okay. He, I showed him a firehouse in a cute town called Beacon, New York. And he's out, we put a bid and whatever. And then as we were going over the planning of it, I'm like, do you want to have partners for this? And it's a firehouse. And it was a
Mhm.
firehouse that was purchased from the city and
Mhm.
we're doing like a coffee wine bar event
Oh, very
space.
cool.
We're a tenant down below. It's very artsy community. And then we're going to create 4 2 bedroom, 1 bath apartments on the second and third floor.
That's
So
great.
sometimes it's not right. It's how do you so for me, that's how my wife and we're a 25% owner of this. So we combined with a client who's doing a lot of business. I see how smart he is and the tax benefits. And so that's the whole thing is sometimes you're going to get involved in other ways, right?
Absolutely. There are always these opportunities for realtors that come up where you can buy multi-unit buildings or have these kinds of development opportunities and you hear about them first. And
Right.
finding ways to diversify your savings is phenomenal. It's a wonderful thing. I'm guilty of not doing that enough, and it's something I need to start doing more.
Because especially because it's the business that we know,
Yeah.
right? And what do I know about Nvidia or Microsoft? Like
Right.
I don't know anything about
Exactly.
them, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So rather than just having stock, invest in the thing. That's a really good thing.
Plus, it also can it spins off commission, or you don't take commission, whatever it is. But
Right.
or try to get a consortium of clients that you can go buy something together, and then you can manage it. So those are all cool things that we can do. And again, I always feel that it's better, right? Aren't we better at what we do if we're investing in those things that we're having our clients also invest in? Like,
Absolutely. It's like having skin in the game. It's clear. You are just a delight. You really are. I really appreciate that you wanted to have me on your show today. And I like the tenor of our conversation, and I'm hoping that your viewers get something out of it.
I hope so. And it's because you also said that you were going to be buying a copy of
A
a real
copy.
estate
I
broker.
am buying
Um,
a copy of your book.
but what's interesting is 27 years in the business, you're like a rock star, all-star, Hall of Famer. And this is only my 8 years in, but I felt like we have stories to tell. And the book is not about how to do real estate. It's really about people.
Yeah.
It's about
The
interact,
adventures of it's about
right?
adventures of a real estate
And
broker.
well, it's funny because somebody said it should be Confessions of a Real Estate Broker. I'm like, confessions? I go, I'm not telling things that are private or whatever. This is really just stories that have happened along the way. Something that I'm proud of until I get sued is my wife's a lawyer, and my wife's a lawyer, my daughter's a lawyer, but I didn't nobody signed in. I didn't have anyone sign a release for anything in the book.
Wow.
And almost I think one name's changed just because it makes sense to do that. But the
Hmm.
rest of it is people's real names, and it's the pictures of the house. And because it's not like it's a fun book. And so it's interesting because I had a book launch. We had a party in the backyard. I catered it. We had a bartender. My wife made me get like the fancy Kohler bathrooms outside as well. So it was all good. But people were walking around, they're like, I'm chapter 4, I'm chapter 10. So it was like people were wearing it and I was signing autographs the entire time.
Oh, how
Uh,
fun. Yeah.
but again, I also leveraged that into a marketing, right? So my
Absolutely.
family's like, why are you doing this? Nobody wants to read about it. And it's funny because my 22-year-old who actually graduated from college and is now in LA trying to make it as a writer, comedian
Right.
writer in the business. He basically, his quote about the book, and he is quoted on the back of the cover, was, the book is better than I thought it could be. So
Aw.
my family didn't think that it was going to be like, who cares, right? And so I ended up writing the book actually with my son's girlfriend. We co-wrote it, but thankfully my wife is an amazing writer. We've been married 30 years. And shout out to being married to me for 30 years, but her job editing the book, right? So it made it readable. And I just before our podcast today, one of my clients that I helped him buy, sell, and he's referred 6 people to me. He bought the book, and he said, I think if I read this book, it will be the 5th book that I've ever read. He goes,
Aw.
he said, in about 6 months or so, I'll get back to you. And he just texted me and he said, I'm like 4 chapters in and I like it. He goes, it's
Aw.
really good. So again, it's not War and Peace, it's big margins, whatever, but it is stories about working with real people in the business that we love. And you would have volumes upon volumes, and your book would turn more into a Netflix special. But it's hard, right? It's hard. But I think from a marketing standpoint, why I love the stories, people can read the stories, but I think it also shows the dedication to something, right? Because it's hard. Everyone says they're going to do it. Oh, I have stories. Like I have people, oh, I
You
have
know,
so many stories. I could write a book. I'm like, then write the book,
that
right?
is the secret to all of life is following through. If you follow through, good things will happen for you. And that's the thing. Most people want to write a book, they don't. Most people want to write a screenplay, they don't. Most people want to do something, they don't. People who do, they get it done.
Yeah, because you can always talk about all the things that you wanted to do. So I talked about it. I got it written. We made it happen. It was a lot of effort, but we're lucky because that's for me using technology, like where with Amazon and the Kindle publishing, You just have to get them the book and they'll print one at a time. So you're really able to
I have,
self-publish.
yeah, I have a children's book out actually, and it's on Amazon, and it's called
Yeah.
Yo-Yo in a Tree. It's about when my parrot got out and how we got him back. And it actually got a little bit of traction. And so I've written another one called Stanley and Emma Go to the Bird Store.
But I love that you do that because that's your creativity, right? And it's fun for you to write that. And so,
Yeah,
and
I
hopefully
love
it's
it.
fun.
I love
So
it. I don't know if you can see this at all, but I got my illustrator lives in Portugal, and he's working on the designs for the new book. And
I can't see that. I see your hand in
mm,
the,
why can't you see? Well, here.
there it is. That's better. Okay, that I can see. It's
So
funny if it's too close, you can't.
that's Stanley
But
and Emma looking through books to see what kind of birds they want to get.
But I think that's great. And I think that's fun that you're able to do that. And that's a great passion. And the real estate's a thing, obviously is a passion, but that's how you pay some bills. And then we write books. So
There you go.
that's great.
I will be buying yours, and I will be reading it, and I will be reviewing
And
it.
send me the link to yours as well. So
I surely shall.
but thank you very much. We could talk forever,
We
but
could
we
because for
could.
fun.
But now this is also your fun, but also I have to thank you because obviously we have to get back to our days and all that.
Yes,
So I
we do.
appreciate it. Andrea, it was great to have you on as a
Thank you for
guest.
having me. I hope that
It,
your viewers get something good out of this.
absolutely. So for 27 plus years, you've been crushing it in real estate. And San Francisco and the Bay Area is lucky to have you. So thank you very much. So everyone, this is Daniel Berger for another episode of the Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, thank you very much. If today's stories opened your eyes, wait till you see what's next. Hit the video on screen to join the next adventure with Daniel Berger.